Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. It is Tuesday, the 13th of October, 2020. I'm your host, the Amazing Super Chris. I've got my co-host, Andy Hall from the Laughing in Disbelief blog over at Pathos. Links below. Don't forget to subscribe to him. And we've also got the Rage, Nokasuchi, from the Rage channel over on the Rage. Over on YouTube. Yeah, here on YouTube. His links are below. He's going to be joining us in a second. We're going to be talking about voter suppression. That's one of the things that, on the conservative side, you'll hear him saying, they're cheating on the right. They're cheating on the right. The election isn't secure, blah, 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 blah. But the cheating is tiny cheating. But on the right, the voter suppression is massive. And we're going to talk about it right after this. Maybe right after.
I gotta do something for this ad for the Laughing in Disbelief YouTube channel. Color. Well, I like color. Color's pretty cool. Everyone's doing color. Color is stupid. I can't do color. I gotta change it. No. Too much change. Bad change. Too different. Monkeys? I like monkeys. Check out the Laughing in Disbelief YouTube channel. Sounds good. All right. Hey, there's Andy. Wait. We need to get Nokasuchi on here too. Good morning, everybody. How you guys doing? Andy.
I'm doing well. I'm not hungover, so that means I'm doing better than I was yesterday.
That's good. Yeah, you have more color in your face today.
Yep. I'm more vibrant. Yeah. That's what I am.
Yes.
I got the vibrant.
Nokasuchi, you too. Got more color. Looking better.
Yeah, on the avatar I do. I was hoping to be on camera today, but I'm still a bit pale. And I was telling the guys before the show, I'm in day 9. Tomorrow's like I passed the danger stage, but now it feels like a head cold. So my face probably looks worse today than it did yesterday. So.
Gotcha. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you guys for joining me. Good morning, everybody over in the chat. We got a lot of folk already this morning. Remember Sammy Jenkins, Derek Cruz, Godless Granny. Good morning, Godless Granny. Hugs to Trina DeLuca. Hoosier Heathen. Hey, good morning. You got here just in time. We're just getting started. Yeah. Good morning, Lordship Mayhem, Technopoc. Hey, new folk. Hey, good morning, The Rage, Robert Blair, all you wonderful people. Thank you for joining us. I gotta quit hitting my table here. I'm a bad man. Good morning to all you people over in the damn nation. Good morning to everybody watching on the Daily Atheist, all those pages on Facebook. And good morning to the people who are listening on the Daily Atheist Morning Show podcast live. Thank you all for joining us. Nice to have you this morning. Okay, guys, one of the things we're going to talk about today is the voter suppression. It seems to be the thing that, have you heard about the drop boxes, the fake drop boxes over in California?
Oh, yeah. Heard about those.
Yeah, I heard about those. Not only, at first I was like, okay, so somebody put them there and then they're not going to, they just put them there and then they ran away, twisting their mustache and ran away to hide in secret and then throw away those ballots later. No, this was actually the California GOP did this and they're standing by it.
Yes, it is patently illegal what they're doing. They have the word official, like it's like a state official ballot drop box on these boxes, and that's untrue. That's like Fox News level untruth we're talking about. And it's just illegal. You can't do that in the state of California. You cannot just say you're going to be corralling all these ballots. And you don't know what these, you can suspect that exactly what you said, Chris, that the Republicans are just going to take any Democratic ballots that they find and just toss them.
Mm-hmm.
And so
you can say. Well, I'm not really sure how it works in that state. I've put a picture up in the thing so folks can see one of the official ballot drop box that the conservatives are putting up, and they're standing by. They're actually posting on their social media. Go here. Now, in California, are these drop boxes or are these ballots covered? Are they unable to tell who's a Democrat and who's a Republican by the ballot? I don't know. I don't know about that. You know what I mean?
Sure. I'm not sure.
So I don't know. Are they just throwing them all away? Which wouldn't surprise me at all. You kill them all, let God sort them out. Just throw them all away, because chances are
So I found the story on Snopes. For those of you in the audience who don't know what Snopes is, it's basically a fact-checking site. So I'll just read a bit. The name of the piece is, "Did California Republicans set up fake ballot drop boxes?" And Snopes rates it as true. They did set up those drop boxes. And to get into the nuts and bolts of it, I'll just read an excerpt, a couple of paragraphs. California Secretary of State, during an October 12th news conference, said multiple fake drop boxes have been installed in Fresno, Los Angeles, and Orange counties. The office and the California Attorney General Xavier, I'm going to try to pronounce Xavier's last name, Becerra, issued cease and desist letters to state and county Republican parties. Ballot collection, sometimes known as ballot harvesting, is the practice of a voter designating a third party to deliver a mail-in ballot to election officials. It's legal in many states, including California. However, what is not illegal, according to the Secretary of State's office, is posing as an election officer and, quote, handling, counting, and canvassing of any ballots. Excuse me, by anyone who isn't an election officer.
You got the road.
That includes setting up unofficial ballot collection boxes. Violating the law is a felony that could result in 2 to 4 years in prison if a person is convicted. So it's a felony conviction. I mean, it's a felony if they get convicted.
Well, yeah, you're not even supposed to go, because I've worked with the local Democrats here, and election after election, and the first thing they tell you is you're not even supposed to go around and take down people's yard signs, right? Like that's a big no, right? So I mean, if that's a huge, you don't do that, right? How is fake drop boxes not worse?
When you're saying that, Rage, I imagine you like rubbing the vein in your head.
Oh yeah, I'm face palming here.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this is just one way, and then of course, who knows? I do not know. What is their plan? Are they going to take those ballots? Are they going to turn them in properly? Is that their goal? Because in Texas they're doing. If that's their goal, then they're doing they're doing the exact opposite of what the Texas conservatives are trying to do by limiting every county to a single drop box.
They have so many different strategies. But go ahead, Andy.
If I was a California Republican, what I would do is tell people that these ballot drop boxes that we set up are Catholic, and it's a case of religious liberty, that these Catholic ballot drop boxes need to have your ballots, and the government cannot infringe upon their religious liberty.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that'd work.
It seems like they're pretty much trying anything at this point. Yeah. Anything that might float, that might skate by. Like the whole thing in California. It's interesting that they're doing that in California. It could just be a test case to see if they get away with it, because California is a blue state. You're not going to win California. But if you can do this and you can observe, hey, we just took 3 points back in California, then you implement that in other states and other elections, because you done got away with it and there's a precedence for it.
Sure enough.
But what are they doing? What are they doing with the ballots? And that's what we'd really like to know. For sure, for real.
And I hope there's some kind of
to report that.
Yeah, there should be some kind of regulation. I mean, where is the regulation for this election? The election that needs regulation the most, I would say. Where are the watchdogs?
Well, President Trump wants to have his people practically in voting booths just to make sure everything is
like real watchdogs.
Real watchdogs.
Bipartisan election watchdogs to make sure that this election is going to go off smoothly. I don't see them. And I've got COVID. So now I don't have to worry really about mail-in ballots. I can go in to do my ballot in person. Don't have to worry about picking up COVID. Still going to wear my mask, all of that stuff. But, I'm going to encourage everybody, if you're going to the election ballots, wherever you're at, whatever state, whatever county, take your phone, record. And if you get harassed, that's illegal. Yeah. And get footage of it.
I'm waiting for Donald Trump to say mail-in ballots cause cancer.
It wouldn't surprise me. But what's that other one called? But absentee voting is okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird,
because he does that. He does
because
that.
he does that. Yeah. Well, they do various kinds of things, and like I already mentioned Texas. They tried to drop it down to one county. You know what that does when there's 4 million people in a county?
Yeah.
That makes voting hard, no matter what. We already know what they did to the post office.
Mm-hmm.
They have humped the post office as much as they could get away with until people were just screaming at them to stop. And now they're going to, of course, Trump is calling for, now you said bipartisan poll watchers. I get that. I don't have a problem with that. That's not what Donald Trump is calling for. Donald Trump is not calling for bipartisan poll watchers. He's calling for his folk to show up down at the place with the things and intimidate the people.
Yeah. He's calling for the bikers for Trump, the Boogaloo Boys, all of these groups. Yeah, that's who he's calling for.
Are you trying to tell me the Wolverine Watchmen are not independent? And
they're not
bipartisan?
No, I don't think so.
I just love the Wolverine Watchman's name, and so I'm probably going to run this into the ground over the next couple of days. I'm sorry about this. Apologies beforehand.
It's not even catchy, I mean,
that's how horrible.
And somebody mentioned that the Wolverine is a Marvel property. The Watchmen is a DC property. It is just wrong to put them together. That just demonstrates the lack of mental. I'm just saying that these people have.
Yeah. These are the same people that have adopted the Punisher symbol as some form of, anti-government stance.
Tell me what do you guys and people in the audience, if you don't mind, what does the Punisher symbol mean to you? What does it mean? I want to get your opinion first, Andy. What does that mean when you see that? What idea are those people trying to convey? If you see like a stormtrooper or something like that, or a Rebels Alliance symbol on the back of somebody's car, or if you see an Autobot symbol on the back of their car, or Decepticon symbol,
if anything,
what does that say to you?
Being old enough to remember when the Punisher first came out in comic books, and being a big fan of the latest. Well, now it's canceled, unfortunately, on Netflix. The Punisher. If anything, the Punisher symbol not only is a vigilante symbol, but vigilantism in general, especially for the Punisher, shows that the system itself is corrupt, that it is untrustworthy, and for the police to basically identify as that the system that they are that they are defending is corrupt. And that they are able to mete out justice, i.e., punish people as they see fit. It is tragically absurd, and it shows such a lack of depth of understanding who the character is. It's almost as if the same people who don't understand Jesus Christ and the Sermon on the Mount are the ones who are plastering the Punisher symbol on their police cars.
Yeah, and Anti the Man. That's a good one too. Eaton Uranus. Love the name, by the way. And it's Anti the Man. I get that. Nokasuchi, your thoughts on this symbol?
Well, when I see police officers with the Punisher symbol, and that seems to be where it ends up a lot of times, is authority figures like that. I actually think that they are reading into the character and they're telling something about themselves subvertly. So, I've always taken the Punisher character. He's a quote unquote good guy who's a sociopath and just kills everybody that gets in his way, and is more than willing to break the law to meet the ends of his ideology, whatever that ideology is, whether it be revenge or whatnot. So I think that the police officers adopting the symbol are just telling the world that they're willing to do the same thing. They're willing to break the law for whatever ideologies that they hold. Unfortunately, it seems to be white supremacy. It's a dog whistle for white supremacy. So that's unfortunately, it's like, I'm willing to break the law so I can be a racist or whatever it is that I am.
Okay. One of the things it means to me, and I have to say both of you guys, really, that's great. And Eaton, that's perfect. Anti-man, the man. But you know what it kind of means to me is like the good guy, like you said, but it's like the notion is that the bad guys, the system, kind of the way Andy mentioned it, the system is kind of failing, and that the bad guys are not getting hurt enough. They need to be hurt, not just arrested and carried down there and sit in a little jail cell and fail. They need to be hurt. And that's kind of the impression I get. It's not just, it's like the symbol of police brutality. The symbol of, I'm going to hurt you because you deserve to be hurt. That's kind of what I see. But also, let's look at something else about this symbol. The notion of, especially the original notion of it being anti the man. Yeah. Right? It was like, to hell with the law enforcement. They're not doing the job. These people aren't doing the job. They're corrupt. Somebody needs to take this into their own hands. I'm going to put on my Punisher shirt and go do the thing at the place. And now you're seeing Punisher symbols with flags over them that are Blue Lives Matter flags. Yeah. It's like waving a Japanese flags and saying, I hate Japan, but like you love them, but you hate them or something. I mean, they don't seem to understand the original context. Maybe that's the reason for the muddy message.
Well, they don't understand much because these patriots, these Americans that are sporting that blue line American flag, is going against the flag code that of the country that they're supposed to be so patriotic for. You're not supposed to change the colors of the flag. You're not supposed to sport the flag on yourself as clothing. They're breaking the flag code every chance they get, and they're talking about how they're America and we're just communist,
yeah
right.
I think if Sweden had a version of the Punisher, I think it would be the Rehabilitate Her. It'd
be like little happy face with crosses.
Hey, maybe you should do some group therapy, and once you get out,
here's a free little cottage,
we'll give you a job and maybe an apartment for a while until you get yourself back on your feet. Because really the real enemy of the criminal justice system is recidivism, and we don't want you coming back in again. So that's what I think. I think that's what the Swedish version of the Punisher would be. It would be the Rehabilitator. I'm sorry, I'm just throwing out really bad jokes today, guys. One apology after another.
Not too bad.
It's early yet.
Yeah, Von Helden was the original Punisher for sure.
Gotcha. So, going back to the voter suppression thing, though, that seems to be one of the things we see it kind of on both sides. We've got different ways of voting in our country, and every method, I believe, I've been saying this for months. The reason why they're downplaying the coronavirus, the reason why the Tea Party, Republican, conservatives, I got to stop saying that. I just got to admit they're all just conservatives, the Republican Party. The reason why the Republican Party has been downplaying the coronavirus is because they really want it to spread as much as possible, because they want as little physical turnout as possible to vote in person for the election. Couple that with things like of in-state voter suppression, such as we've already said, single voter drop boxes in Texas, where only one person in one box in a 4 million, or California, where they're doing the exact opposite. They're putting up fake ballot boxes for people to drop their boxes in, and they might actually really turn in those. And they're like, "Yay, we're doing great for the community. We're turning them in." And maybe, like Andy said, or Nokasuchi said, get a point or two. Yay. And then some of those ballots will start disappearing. That's the purpose. These people, they're half their game is voter suppression. Whether they're downplaying the mail. They've been downplaying the mail for a long time. You can still, I guess technically, can you or can you not, gentlemen? Can you not vote by mail if you send it via the UPS instead of the USPS? Can you still send a ballot to the ballot receiving place from your place, point A to point B, thus with the US?
I'm not sure.
I have no idea. I'm going to sound like a snotty masshole, unlike how I usually sound, and that I'm getting my mail and I'm getting my ballot through the mail within a couple of days. I can go on my city's website and figure out when it's coming, when it's going to be in my mailbox, and then I can just walk down the street because there is a legitimate, official, really official ballot drop-off box. like a 2-minute walk. And so, yeah, I don't know.
Well, and Trump's on Twitter again, either today or yesterday, promoting it, showing pictures of mail all over the street. And in this town, these ballots were lost. In this town, these ballots were lost. And yeah, they're really hyping that. But at the same time, they're doing blatant voter suppression. You look at Florida, you look at Georgia, they are suppressing the rolls. They are getting rid of black people from being able to vote in these states because they know that more than likely the black votes are going to be voting blue. They're trying to solidify their power, and they're trying to take away the vote from the citizens. And I'm sure that's happening in more red states than just those two that I know for sure that it is. So, I mean, we should all be up in arms about this and making sure our elections is what makes this a democracy. So you corrupt those elections, we no longer live in a democracy. The people no longer have a voice.
I just want to talk to the native atheist, Helmut Norpoth. I was just looking through his prediction model. I haven't heard of this particular model predicting presidential elections. I'm a Professor Alan Lichtman guy, as well as like a 538 guy. But this model says that Trump's going to win. I don't see that like from a fair, legit vote. There's no way Trump's going to be getting 362 electoral votes. You know,
yeah, it's a different monster than 2016. I know a lot of people are basing these models about what happened in 2016 and what they call the silent majority. And I think the silent majority just doesn't exist right now. Right now, you have a vocal majority, and they're in the streets.
Well, you know, once again, I've said it many times, is that if it wasn't for COVID-19, President Trump would be winning. There's no doubt about that. But the thing is, there is COVID-19, and any sitting president would have difficulty dealing with the crisis, and he did it incompetently. So that's why he's losing.
I mean, I'm literally seeing Republicans in red states afraid that Trump is going to cost them the entire ticket in their state. I mean,
he will.
He will. Hopefully he will.
People will just vote down ballot. That's how, this is different from like 50, 40 years ago. Once you vote Democrat, for example, for president, you will just vote Democrat typically down ballot for every other office.
Yeah. So we've got all these Republican senators or governors and whatever in their respective states, and they're going to all get kicked out of office, and Trump is going to be there, and he's all going to be going. He's going to be and he's going to refuse, and he's going to call on them to also refuse to leave office. The election was corrupt. They shouldn't leave office either. This is going to be what I see, and then of course he's going to be calling on those militias. So these corrupt governors that we've been watching prop him up, they're going to get shit canned, or whoever gets kicked out of the thing, he's going to be calling for them. I see problems out of these people. I don't see them leaving office willingly.
Trump once again was saying it just yesterday. Why would I commit to a peaceful transition of power when they've been trying to get me out of office for 4 years? His exact words. I didn't change a single word in there.
Yeah. And so why should Obama have done the same? Because that's their job. The opposing, the conservatives opposed Obama tooth and nail.
Sure. And they were screaming
Shouldn't Obama get 8 more years since they did that?
They were screaming Obama was going to try to get another term to like a month before the 2016 election, like way after Hillary got the nominee. Right. There was still the conspiracy theory that Barack Obama is going to go for a third term.
Right. This is the party of hypocrisy. The party that if they accuse you of something, it's something they're going to do. Trump has already talked about having a third term. He's already mentioned being a president for life. This man does not joke.
Yeah.
He does not joke around. He's just got to get this election. Once he's passed this election,
he justified needing a third term because us Democrats completely spoiled the first one for him, so he's entitled to a third term now. Of course,
and it'll be the same way with the fourth term. And I've said this before. I said, well, by the time he gets to that second term, the end of the second term, he'll just have done it to where a president can have more than 2 terms. And people are like, no, he's got to get like 2/3 of all the states to vote with him. That's just crazy.
Yeah, and then
look where we are now.
Once elections are gone, then he can just appoint Ivanka to be his successor,
Right. Well, he's got all these conservatives that will not. They just turn. They do whatever he says they do. So why would they not under those circumstances? And you're right, he does have Ivanka to continue that, of course.
Yeah, she's obviously the the heir to the throne. It's not Don Jr. So.
Right. But I'm just talking in the next couple of months. We're just going to have these conservative politicians who are going to get voted out. How many are not going to leave willingly? We've got a president who's not going to leave willingly. You just said he just again said he wasn't going to leave willingly. We've got these conservatives all over the country who are messing with the vote, poo-pooing the legitimacy of the election. They're already doing it now, and on top of that, they also have their own military force. Whenever you couple the white supremacist groups that they have on call who want to do Trump's work, and the possibility of adding the Blackwater people,
Tiger Swan, all of that,
Eric Prince's sub-military group, the actual
he runs Blackwater. He has his fingers in Tiger Swan as well. But there's quite a.
Is that what it's called? Okay.
Yeah. Blackwater. No, you're right, Chris. Because I think Blackwater is the one that he runs directly, and then you also have Tiger Swan. You have a few paramilitary groups that are funded by the Defense Department, sent to Iraq to pretty much guard oil fields. That's what they're supposed to be for. But now they're utilizing them on American citizens. So.
Right. Yeah.
So what are the chances that there's going to be a shootout somewhere on election night?
Well, we're going to be watching. Remember, you and I are going to be watching.
Yeah, but it's an interesting question. I think a shootout means someone just shooting another unarmed person, like a militia member shooting an unarmed person, or whether or not there are two militias in a voting, near in a polling place, and all of a sudden, crap gets real between these two militias. The police can't be everywhere, and nor would they want to. A lot of them just turn their backs in terms of what goes on with the right-wing militias. So it's something I don't suspect
we'll have both.
But there will probably be some kind of series of shootings on election night. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Wouldn't me either. Just kind of depends on how things go between now and then. Trump is doing everything he can to delegitimize the election.
Well, that's his only chance. That's his only chance in winning, is winning in the after innings, in the late innings. He can't win in regular time, so he has to do these, shady deals, shady plans, stratagems, so that, voter suppression, that's the only way Republicans can win.
Well, I'm wondering though, will his own rhetoric backfire against him? Will the rules protecting him as president for the last 4 years backfire against him? Because if Biden does win, can he then indict Biden, who is now officially the sitting president of the United States?
Well, that's a very good question. What happens in that short period of time in between we get the Electoral College officially voting and the time that Biden takes office? That'd be crazy if Trump just arrests him, or if he could get William Barr or get a new attorney general to arrest Biden, put him into jail.
I've been saying that for months.
I think that's absolute worst case scenario, and that's when, like yesterday, when I was talking, we got to hit the streets. That's that moment right there. Yeah. All of us, right, left, we all got to hit the streets.
It's like that. That is a guaranteed trip to Washington.
Yeah, yep.
I've never been there before, but looks like we're heading to Washington for everything. Yep. That's right.
Or to another country.
Oh well, no, that's after that. If your trip to Washington fails. Yeah.
I definitely think we need to start protesting on Canada to lower their immigration restrictions so we can escape to Canada. They have some of the hardest immigration rules in the world, so it's hard to get into Canada.
I don't know. If I were Canada, would I want us?
No.
I mean, there'd have to be some kind of filter. I'd have to be like, listen, I need to look at the last 5 years of your social media before I allow you in.
Nope, Canada needs to build a wall and make us pay for it.
Right.
Yeah. True enough. Well, I've always wanted to move to other countries. Just to live in other countries, to see the world. So I'd like to go to Greece and see some of those islands I have seen on the interwebs. That is just beautiful stuff. Or to go live in some small little town in Spain and be able to drive to France and England and Italy and Switzerland and see all those wonderful places. But now, you can go back. We see about the caravans of people coming up and relieving the harsh conditions down in South America, and they're coming up by the tens of thousands. During World War II, there were thousands and thousands of white people flood everybody. They were all, but it was Europeans. Europeans were flooding out of Germany, out of Switzerland, out of all those countries. You could see pictures of them on huge boats fleeing by the thousands because of the right-wing conservative. Yeah. I never thought I'd be one of those people, or consider being one of those people. I'm looking at my dog going, "You look tasty."
Well, that's the thing I've been screaming at conservatives, because you're so quick to just jump on the anti-libtard bandwagon, but what happens once all of us libtards are locked up? Well, then they're going to have to create new rules to demonize another segment of your own population. They could be coming after you next. That's the slippery slope with giving away freedoms.
Well, the nature of revolutions is that in any one revolution, there's typically many revolutions, like the French Revolution, where several revolutions that eventually ended up with Napoleon as dictator. The Russian Revolution, there were actually several revolutions that occurred, and then you got the most radical elements taking part of that country. Even with our own revolution here in the States, there was a real chance of a military dictatorship if it wasn't for George Washington basically putting it down and winning hearts and minds of the military after the war. About just obeying the rules and going with this kind of government, this constitutional government. So, yes, basically agreeing. That was a very long way for me to say, yes, I agree in the fact that once the main enemy is taken care of, the less radical elements become targeted by the more radical elements within the group. So the more, the Christian theocrats, for an example, they will be more than likely targeting what they consider to be non-Christians.
Yep. Yeah, and there's plenty of those, or what would be considered non-Christians. If you're looking at Catholics, or you're looking at your more progressive Protestants as opposed to your evangelical fundamentals. Yeah, if the theocratic element were to gain power in that movement after we're all gone and we can't fight against them anymore, well, yeah, it's going to be your more progressive Republicans and Christians that are targeted next.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, Mormons. Sorry, Mormons, you're not really Christians.
Oh yeah.
Not in terms of the GOP. Mike Pence, in his private thoughts, do not think you are Christians.
That underwear is not going to protect you, my man.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to keep your fiefdom of Utah. So they would probably be the next on the list after we all end up in the camps or in the shallow graves.
There's this, I've been thinking, I put a little bit of mental effort into this, and what's going to happen? There's going to come to this point where the people, the militias, the right people, the people, once the military fully becomes in control of the fascist dictatorship that's taken over our country, and they fully have control of the military, the actual real military, then they won't need the militias anymore. And the militias, once they realize that America is gone and it's no longer the USA, it's the FSA, the fascist state, then they'll start, because they were already anti-government. Wait until it's a real fascist state. They've been calling it a fascist state for a long time. Wait until it's a real fascist state. Then they will turn their guns on the fascist state, which now has a military and will be coming for their guns. The people there always been saying that these are the people most likely to come for their guns, is the people that are put into office.
I mean, I know a lot of right-wing people would be listening to us right now, and these crazy lefties and their conspiracy theories. We're talking worst case scenarios, but unfortunately, we're talking worst case scenarios that we're staring right in the face right now. And if this man gets reelected, he has shown you his fascism. There's no doubt about it. You can deny it, but he has shown it to you. Once he gets that second term and uses it, I really don't want to hear you bitching.
We have been stumbling from, distraction, and just, one thing this man has done would have put anybody else out of office. Just name one thing. It doesn't matter. Just one thing. Any one thing this person has done would have put anybody else out of office.
Grab him by the pussy.
But that's because of the corruption. The corruption in the GOP. If all the GOP, it's like Andy has said time and time again, if nobody is willing to prosecute you, the GOP being the only people that were, the majority holders in our, and the conservatives do this mad job of stalling and stopping people from being able to do things whenever it's our people in, we have the presidency and they have the majority or they have the minority or whatever. They have a great job of stopping us. Why aren't our conservative people stopping? How come Nancy Pelosi and them haven't been able to stop these people from doing all this crap? They put how many hundreds of judges in they've just completely poised our entire judicial system. Our entire government has been poisoned by the Tea
I think
Party.
They don't really want to stop them. I think these people are so obsessed with power that they're willing to demonize them for grabbing the power they've always wanted to grab. So like, this is why Pelosi and Schumer has pushed judge after judge through for Trump. You don't hear about that. You hear about them talking about Ukraine or impeaching him over Ukraine, but they're not fighting his judge appointments and haven't the entire term.
But and I hate to say this, I actually have predicted that at some point he would call for the arrest of these people. If it got worse to worst, and it has, we've seen it, they could actually be in threat of being imprisoned and tried for treason against the United States, which comes with the death penalty. That's what Nancy Pelosi is helping foster if she helps him. Am I wrong, Andy? Is that overestimating what he said?
The problem with our side is that, we come from blue states. Our blue states, they are more peaceful. They are higher educated. There's a higher standard of living typically. So we're just not as mean and crazy as as typical red staters, right? And the only reason why I'm crazy and mean is because I'm a comedian. Maybe that's kind of circular logic and horrible past. But, so that's why I'm like, hey, you got to be a little bit more aggressive. You got to be willing to just be completely intransigent if you're in power. But the thing is with the Democrats, I have to tell you, looking at life in such a nuanced way is actually getting in the way of getting what you want, politically speaking. The Republicans know. They know they just have to keep pushing constantly. And somehow our side is just thinking, well, maybe if we structure just the right argument, we'll be able to convince them of the error of their ways. And that just doesn't happen. That just isn't going to work as a viable long-term strategy.
Well, yeah, because they know that they're full of crap. You're not gonna convince somebody that's being disingenuous on purpose, right?
Yeah, you've heard the conservatives say that if the Democrats win, they're going to snuff out the GOP. They're going to snuff out this, and they're going to do that, and they're going to do that. But that's really not what they try to do. They always try to and then they want to work with the other side and be all happy-go-lucky. But the conservatives are the ones that want to snuff out their opponents. They always accuse you of what they're doing, right? And as Andy has said, the Democrats need to do that. When we take office, we need to take all the offices. The presidency, the Senate, all of it, sheriffs, GOP governors out, everybody out. We need to win it all, and then we need to do things like pass laws, mandatory voting, do things that just like they would do, given all that power, do things like they would do to limit the other party's power and to take away the likelihood that the other party will ever have power again. Do those things. They need to do those things. They're unashamed to do them to us. We should do them to them.
Well, yeah, and people need to realize that there's 3 different branches of government, so people only show up for the presidential elections, and that's all they're interested in. And that's why Barack Obama didn't have any power as president. You've got to go and you've got to vote those senators in. You've got to vote the House of Reps in. You've got to vote your local elections and get your ideology into power. And unfortunately, people are only interested in that one office. And let me tell you, all the president does is put his name to shit. He's not creating the law, at least usually. I know Trump tries to, and Obama tried to a couple times as well. But it's the Senate that's creating the law, and it's the Senate that's going to be that balance to the executive. People need to vote all the time. You should be voting every single election.
The DNC. I'm going to complain about the DNC because I think the DNC has an incentive not to have people vote in midterm elections, because if a lot of people vote in midterm elections, that means the people who are already in power in terms of Democrats will get voted out of power. Whenever there is a swell in the midterm elections, let's say for the Democratic Party, that's usually a sign that people are not happy and want to vote the bums out. So the DNC has this weird divided set of incentives not to create a lot of voter turnout during midterm elections, but to have a lot of voter turnout in presidential elections. It is a house that cannot stand over the long term because they have these two different kind of strategies that they're trying to work out, while the Republicans are just like, well, we're just going to F these guys as long as hard as we can.
That's right. And, of course, Joe Biden has come up and he has said things like, whenever he gets to, he's a president for the country. He's for both sides. He's for this. He's for that. And he is. That's what he's supposed to do. That's exactly his job. But we need to, whenever they get into this situation, they need to go after all these conservatives who've broken the law and trashed our government and get them out and arrest them and do all those things. I don't care who they are. We need to go after these people. And there's this notion of not going after former people who've done that. We need to, we need to raise a voice about that, because getting away with this shit got us where we are.
To put it in perspective of what we're talking about right now, right? So Trump got COVID. Biden stops all negative ads against Donald Trump. Yeah, I mean, you could say that's a good thing. Do you think Trump would have done that? No, Trump would have turned it up. Trump would have been like, oh, Biden's dead. So we gotta start playing by their rules instead of creating rules that weaken us.
Right. Yeah. Well, part of the deal is that we need, if the truth were out there, there's this big, huge machine of misinformation that actually misleads a lot of these people who are on the right. So they're doing what they believe is right based on misinformation. If we had those people on our side and just were properly informed and we're going in the right, that would minimize the amount of people who they have and maximize the amount of people we have. A lot of them, again, if you just watch Fox News, you're completely misinformed. And a lot of them are just misinformed and they're acting on that misinformation.
Or even worse, they only look at Facebook. There's some of those out there.
Yeah, that's true too. That's terrifying. I just want to get back to my point, because I'm somewhat narcissistic. And I like talking about my own points about how we can't rely on the DNC to actually increase voter turnout during, in local elections or in terms of midterm elections. That's why it's important for us to be engaged in non-government NGOs, non-government organizations, whatever they are, within our own communities, so that we help our own communities be energized, aware, and focused on what the prize is, and that is to follow a progressive agenda and to move the ball down that way when it isn't a presidential election season, because you can't trust the DNC.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah. And, speaking of these other smaller elections, the wife, we got our ballot, and she goes through every single judge, everybody on the ballot. And if they're right, basically how it's been is if they're Republican, there's no chance at all. If you're still proudly wearing that R, you're out. And then we evaluate the Ds, because not all Ds are real Ds. Some of them are Rs who've seen that and they've moved over and claimed.
That's exactly how I do it, Chris. I'm a down ballot guy. I have been for a long time. You've got to be a pretty damn impressive Republican to grab my attention and make me even consider voting for you. But I'm evaluating the Ds. What is this policy? What is that policy? Are they more progressive? Do they align more with what I want or with what the establishment wants? And I think that we've got that on the left. We need that on the right, because the right just plays team sports. There are two issues: guns and abortion.
Yeah.
Well, here in that, once again, putting on my masshole hat a little bit more, being that it's a Democrat-dominated state, there are many right-leaning Democrats and left-leaning Democrats. And so, just echoing back what you guys are saying is that it's important to know who you're voting for just because they have the D. Just because they have the D.
Just because they have the... Well, and that's kind of something I mentioned briefly. The chat's going by kind of fast, so I've missed a lot. But I mentioned briefly, I think, to Trina earlier about she said that a lot of people on the right are crazy. And I was like, well, yeah. And the ones that aren't have moved to the left. They're now the right side of the left, like the Joe Bidens and the Klobuchar's and the whatever. They're not really what we would think of as right or lefties. They're not really lefties. But they're not crazy right. See,
Yeah.
That's
they're
how
moderates.
I feel about it.
They're what remains of the moderates now, and you can only really find them in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, fair enough.
But that's the whole deal. Now we've got let's take, for example, I've got it written over here. So during the election that night, we go through it and we watch Lindsey Graham loses. Mitch McConnell is losing. They're all losing. Now, we don't know. Of course, you don't know the official answer, but all the tallies are showing they're really getting blown out. Trump's losing. McConnell, Graham, Cruz.
I'm dancing through the streets naked.
They're all doing that. Do you think that I just the more likelihood that there's this big, huge Democratic sweep, the more likelihood is that we're going to have Republicans refusing to leave office and try to gun up.
Well, I think the writing's on the wall for them, and it has been a long time over climate change. The young generation is rejecting anybody that denies climate, but
even the Pope.
The writing's on the wall, and when that writing's on the wall, then you get desperate, and desperate people are dangerous people. And Chris, you're exactly right. We live in dangerous times right now.
Yeah, the Pope is even coming out about the climate change now. Have you guys seen that? Go Pope.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Catholics are coming around, guys.
I know. If the Pope would only come out as strongly on such things as not
about that thing, that thing
we don't talk about.
That thing.
The thing that would have shut down any other organization.
Well, you say that,
maybe the GOP.
But, with the world that we live in now, who knows? What does it really take to get shut down?
I know, right? Well, just deny, accuse and deny. Wait, Andy, did you just accuse me of wearing a hat? I'm not wearing a hat. You're wearing a hat.
You have these antlers in the background.
It's disgusting. Yes. I'm not. No. You're wearing antlers. Andy's the antler-wearing person. He hates people who don't wear antlers.
Well, I do hate a lot of people.
That's just
I'm
a
not
crazy.
Lock him
craziness.
Lock him up.
Right.
Yeah. Well, here's something else. This is an interesting point that not Robert Bright, Techno Apoc says. McConnell laughed 5 times during one and only debate with McGrath last night. 215,000 dead people ain't funny, mate. All right, let's take that 250,000 people, 15,000 people. You know what? I could be wrong. I'm suspecting most of them didn't vote. And I don't think that's a problem for the conservatives because they like anything that doesn't get people to vote. So I know this is going to be one of the uglier things I've said on here, but the more people who die before they vote, the better for the Republican Party.
And you're right, Chris, but let's factor in Republican stupidity and the fact that they just don't look at science. So the majority of the people that are dying are old people because that's what Corona hits the worst. And who do old people vote for? Republicans.
Well, that's true, but we also have because of the things that Trump has been doing as of late, we've got this gray wave of people who are turning from Trump and going Democrat.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. They're just idiots, right? So, if they were smart, if Trump was smart, we'd have a stimulus check in the mail every month right up until Election Day. And he'd win, hands down. He would be embracing COVID, embracing the science. But they're not smart. They're idiots. And they think that people are stupid enough to believe them. And as you're saying, no, more and more people are like, nah, homie, this just ain't adding up.
I talk a lot about how Trump thinks and about even the horrible things that he does works out for Trump or can work out for Trump. But one of the things I just don't understand is why he didn't keep that stimulus going as long as he could, because that was the only thing that kept his poll numbers up. Was keeping that stimulus going. The country is going through an incredibly recession, depression, however you want to call it. And the only thing that kept people somewhat happy about him, even with all the other crap going on, was the fact that they were getting money in the mail from the government. And he just stopped it. He just decided he was going to stop negotiating and didn't kick his own party in the pants. And so this is really, once again, this ring of stupidity that he has created for himself. It isn't Biden, it isn't the DNC that will get him out of that will get him out of the presidency. It'll be Donald J. Trump. He is his own worst enemy.
Yeah, and his handling of this COVID thing, how he's done this to play it off and downplay it at every turn. You'd think, I was really hoping, I was praying to Andy's fictitious God that he would get the cooties and he would be like, oh man, this is real and it's bad. And yet he did not. As a matter of fact, he got, if he got it. Now I want to mention, I wanted this on record. I mentioned to the wife quite a while back that it would not surprise me if the Trump clan, at the very least, had some form of antivirus. There's been an antivirus on the market-ish over from Russia at least a month now, at least well over a month, that they've had these things out there. But let's just set that aside. It's possible that they already had some kind of it's not the greatest. They obviously didn't test it right. They didn't do all the things, but let's just put it over here. Even if he didn't get that, let's say he did get the cookies, he got the best pre-treatment in the entire world. Why?
Sorry to interrupt your train of thought. P Mars is in the side chat, laying out the N-word like he tends to do. He's triggered this morning. So any moderator that would be in the side chat, anytime that you even consider it might be P Mars, go ahead and hide him from the channel because he's in that N-word kind of mood this morning. Yep,
and just hide him from the channel. I mean, make it worth his while. Make him earn it if he wants to keep posting stuff. Just he'll go get another account.
Right.
Thank you, Julie, for being there for us.
He was drinking the racist coffee this morning. It's not always with P Mars, but today he's being a racist. So.
Yeah. Well, I saw something there a minute ago. There's P Mars live brown chat thing. I saw him pop up there a minute ago, so it wasn't a surprise. Whenever, let's see if I can go ahead and do that. Love you, Papa.
He's got like 40 sock accounts, so he'll be back.
yeah, that's fine, and that's fine. I mean, he'll be, eventually, what'll happen is I'll get tired of him. Our channel will grow, my brothers. Our channel will grow, and we'll get 2 or 3 P Marses, and they'll figure out things like how to mess with my chat and screw up my chat. And then we'll take the chat off the screen up there so they can't see it, and we'll only have it over there, and that's fine. That'll give us more room to make our pictures larger on the screen and make our message better. So either way, we win. I don't care. They troll us, we win. We get traffic from it, we win. They increase the viewership, we win.
Well, yeah, and the more you talk politics, the more you're going to get the neo-Nazis. Now, I don't think P Mars is a neo-Nazi, but I get real neo-Nazis in my side chat. So, I mean, you're doing something right when you're triggering the other side if you're talking politics. So,
true enough.
Yeah, so we're all good. We're all good. One of the things I want to do, let's talk about this poll we've got going on here. It says, have you seen conservative voter suppression or poll watchers in your state? Now, I haven't been to the poll yet, so I have not seen them personally. In our state, I looked it up on the interwebs. There's different forms of voter suppression that have been going on here. But in our case, yet we have not seen, and we're going to go down to the polls, and me and the wife are going to go, and we're going to drop our little ballot into the box at the county clerk's office. We'll see what happens. Will there be poll watchers there? Will there be a line?
Most voter suppression, if you're a white person, you don't see, right? It's invisible.
Yeah. Well,
unless you're a poor white person living in a gerrymandered black district, let's be honest. Or if you're in, but to your point, like if you're in South Dakota right now, they're literally making it impossible for Native Americans to vote. Making it impossible because most Native Americans use P.O. boxes for mails. They don't have addresses.
That's right.
And now they're making it a legal requirement to have an address to vote. They're doing it intentionally to stop natives from voting.
Mm-hmm. So have you guys ever heard of it where a woman has to bring her ID from every name change to prove?
Yes, in some red states I've heard that. Yeah,
even that is voter suppression. That is typical tactics. We need to. There's got to be a way moving forward. We need to take this election. All right. The far right took this past 4 years. That took the opportunity to try to mold our nation into what they thought it should be. And if we win, we need to do the exact same and mold our nation back the way we believe it should be, as well as removing all these other things. And a part of that, I still believe, is that universal voting or what do you call it? Mandatory voting, like they have in Australia and other countries. Mandatory voting. I think would go a long ways to stem the tide of these far rights. But we need the far left to take power and just do things. Is Biden going to do stuff? I hope he does stuff.
And I would find it funny if their argument against mandatory voting is, well, my freedoms. I think everybody should be required to vote, and we should have been all along, right from the very beginning. Black people should have been able to vote. Women should have been able to vote. Everybody should have been voting from the very beginning. This country would be a completely different place if the people actually had a word in how our government governs.
Well, as you go forward, for everybody out there watching, I'm going to put this thing up on the screen. Remember to be careful where you vote. We're almost done with the show. If you're voting now, be careful. This, what you see on the screen, is my understanding, is not an actual voting box. It's something put in California that the GOP in California are putting up their own ballot boxes. We do not trust them. Make sure you're dropping your ballots off at the correct location. Do not trust. I mean, check to make sure, because these people are doing everything they can. You also got to be careful of other things because of the voter style suppression. Sometimes at the bottom, there'll be this tiny little line that says, hey, if you don't use the number 2 pencil on this, your vote won't be counted. Or if you don't fill out every box, or if you don't add your zip code, or if you don't, like you guys already mentioned, the poor people I do agree there has to be some form of ID. You have to be able to prove you're an American citizen in order to vote. I get that. How do we fix that part of it? Because that's something that the right really uses against poor people, especially like old black poor people.
If that's going to be a rule, then state IDs need to be free and given out to everybody.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And again, I'm always to the thinking that whenever you get a state ID, it needs to be synced with your phone and your voting app in your phone, so you vote. And that's one of the ways that we could do that. You could even register the voting app, a government-made voting app, with your social security number. So whenever you just vote with your phone, boom, we need to do that. We need to be moving that direction. I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Andy? What do you got going on, man? What do you got going on? We're going to wrap it up.
I've been spending the last few moments coming up with proper royal titles for PMARS. Flaccid Edgelord, I think, is my current favorite. But that's just me. Just me.
Okay.
I have Samuel Isaac Dealey. He runs a small YouTube channel called Hooligan Comedy. We're going to be talking politics, universe, everything, And he's a funny guy. I apparently am just into crappy jokes this morning. And so 11 a.m., laughing in disbelief. We're going to be rolling for about an hour.
What about tomorrow? Now, tomorrow you have a person coming on your show.
The name of the
you're gonna have to leave.
The name, yes, I'm going to have to leave early tomorrow. The name of the video is Are Americans Just Stupid? It's based on a Psychology Today article that my guest wrote. Are Americans just stupid? Yeah, he's coming on at 10 a.m. Eastern, so I'm going to have to bail out a little bit early.
Understood.
But we're going to kind of pick that apart on whether or not Americans are just stupid.
I think they are.
I think,
well, we're gonna if anyone has checked out my YouTube channel, it's a bunch of comedy, and when I'm not doing comedy, it's more like angry NPR in a lot of ways. So I have smart guests come on and specialists in their field, and I like to learn new stuff when they come on. So this is my big brain for this week. Tomorrow at 10 a.m.
That's wonderful. Rage, what do you got going on, brother?
Today, not too much. I was going to do an open room tonight, but I think I've changed my mind. I'm going to get a lot of this administrative stuff done. But I might stream some impromptu stream at a weird hour this afternoon. And tonight I'm going to, instead of doing my open room and taking viewers away, I'm probably going to be in the side chat watching Godless Granny's 1,000 sub celebration. If she has a spot open, I might hop in for a moment or two. But yeah, really just going to take a break today, and then we'll have open rooms for the next couple of days on my channel.
Did Godless Granny hit 1,000 subs already?
Oh, yeah, she's at like 1.6 now. Like she just blew up. She did something with Vice Rhino that really helped her out, and she's getting the recognition she deserves. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome, wonderful, good for her. Yeah, heck yeah, I love it. You know, anytime any of us in this community can go viral and get a little bit of a bump, more power to us. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I have got what I'm going to do today is I've been working on my next Evil God Monster of Abraham episode 13. I'm doing chapter 13 of the Bible, and there's not a lot going on in it. It's kind of a short chapter, so this will be a short video, but it's been 2 or 3 months since I've dropped one. So I'm going to drop that. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish it, record it, and do all that today, and put it up for my patrons, because my patrons are just wonderful. They take care of me, help me pay for the software that I use to do all this stuff, and I don't do nearly enough to put up for them. So I'm going to put up some content for my patrons. Like the $1 patron content people, they're finally getting some script updates, because I've been updating some scripts and blah, 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 blah. So finally getting some stuff going. I'm not being lazy anymore. Well,
there's not much in there.
Being a little lazy. Okay.
Being a little lazy.
A little lazy. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So look out for that, guys. If you're into the Evil God Monster of Abraham episodes, I'm going to drop a new one today. Okay, thank you to you guys for joining us. Thank you to everybody in the Damnation chat for being with us this morning. Lots of folk joining us, and then the people on Facebook and the Daily Atheist Morning Show podcast live. You guys are all wonderful. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Be strong.
Thank you for watching the show. A special shout out to my gold level Patreon supporters, Ian Davenport, Cindy Plaza, and tons of mice. Thank you, and have a great day.